Disclaimer: this story is based on real events shared for the purpose of reflection and awareness. Names and minor details may have been changed to protect the privacy of those involved. Viewer discretion is advised. I never thought I'd be telling this story. Not like this. Not to the world, not to strangers on the internet. But sometimes life hands you moments that are too strange, too emotional, and too human to keep to yourself. This isn't just a story about infidelity. It's about the unexpected decisions we make in the heat of a moment, when we're torn between doing what's easy and doing what's right. It happened on a regular weekday evening. Nothing was out of the ordinary, just work, a few errands, and the usual traffic-filled drive home. The kind of day where you expect everything to go as planned. I had just stopped by a coffee shop I don't usually visit, hoping to get a little peace before heading back. That's where I saw him. Sitting by the window, across from someone that wasn't his wife. At first, I didn't think anything of it. You see people with friends, coworkers, even strangers all the time. But there was something in the way he leaned in. Something in her smile. It wasn't the look of friendship. It wasn't innocent. It was familiar. Too familiar. The man sitting there, smiling and laughing like he didn't have a care in the world, was someone I knew. Someone who should have known better. He was married. I knew that because I knew his wife. Not well, but enough to know she didn't deserve to be lied to. Enough to know they had kids together. A home. A life. And in that moment, watching him hold another woman's hand like it was the most natural thing in the world, I felt something shift inside me. I wanted to look away. Pretend I hadn't seen anything. Just walk out, mind my business, and forget about it. But I couldn't. I kept thinking, what if it was me? What if I was the one being betrayed, and someone else had the chance to say something, but didn't? I didn't confront him right away. I didn't storm in or make a scene. I sat back, watched for a few more minutes, and tried to figure out what the right thing to do was. My heart was racing. I had no idea how this would end. But I knew, deep down, I had to do something. Not out of revenge. Not out of anger. But out of a strange kind of compassion for everyone involved. Later that evening, I followed a gut feeling. Not to expose. Not to shame. But to help in whatever small way I could. Because what I saw wasn't just cheating. It was a man lost in a moment he probably didn't expect to be caught in. And maybe, just maybe, he needed someone to catch him before everything fell apart. But what happened next, I never could have predicted. There are moments in life that leave a mark. This was one of them. A story that started with betrayal, but led to something I didn't see coming. Something that changed the way I look at people, relationships, and even myself. And if you're thinking this is going to be one of those stories where everything ends in disaster, think again. Or maybe don't. Because the truth is, it's complicated. And that's where the real story begins. So stay with me, because what happened after I made the decision to step in, it wasn't just unexpected. It was something I still think about to this day. I caught him in a moment I didn't expect. And I helped a true infidelity story, and trust me, you'll want to hear what happened next. I left the cafe without saying a word. My heart was pounding, and honestly, I couldn't figure out if it was anger, confusion, or just the weight of what I'd seen. I drove home in silence, no music, no calls. Just my thoughts playing over and over again. His face. Her smile. That moment where everything looked too perfect, like a movie scene you don't want to believe is real. His name was Sam. We weren't close friends, more like family friends. Our paths had crossed enough times, barbecues, birthday parties, school events for the kids, that I knew him well enough to know he always presented himself as the family man. The dad who brought cupcakes to class. The husband who held his wife's hand in front of everyone. The guy you'd never expect to be caught in that kind of situation. And that made it harder. Because now I wasn't just questioning what I saw, I was questioning how much of what I knew was even real. Sam's wife, Alina, was one of those genuinely kind people. She wasn't loud or flashy, but she was always present. You know the type, quiet strength, the kind of woman who never asked for attention, but earned respect just by the way she treated others. I kept thinking about her face, her trust, her kids. What did she know? Did she suspect anything? Or was she completely in the dark? I didn't sleep that night. I kept playing every scenario in my head. Should I talk to him first? Should I tell her? Or should I do nothing? It's easy to think you'll know what to do in a situation like this. But when it actually happens, it's not black and white. It's messy, because no matter what you do, someone is going to get hurt. The next day, I went about my normal routine. Work, errands, calls. But everything felt off. I saw his name pop up in a group chat for a neighborhood event, and it made my stomach turn. I looked at pictures of him and Alina online, smiling together at a recent charity event, and it all just felt fake. Like I had seen a side of him no one else knew existed. But what haunted me the most was the look on his face at that cafe. He wasn't nervous. He wasn't hiding. He looked comfortable. Like this wasn't the first time. And maybe that's what pushed me to the next step. Because this wasn't just a mistake. It felt like a pattern. And I couldn't shake the feeling that if I didn't say something, this would just keep happening. I decided to talk to Sam. Not out of anger, but because I needed to understand. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe there was an explanation I hadn't considered. I didn't plan to accuse or judge, just to listen. But when I texted him, just a simple, "Hey, you free to talk?" his response was strange. Too quick. Too eager. Almost like he already knew what this was about. We met at a park just off the main road. Public, but quiet. He looked the same, smiling, casual. But there was something in his eyes that told me he wasn't surprised to see me. And that's when I knew he knew I had seen him. He didn't deny it. Not really. He tried to brush it off, saying it was complicated, that it wasn't what it looked like. But his tone didn't match his words. It was calm. Too calm. Like he'd rehearsed this before. Like he was used to justifying his actions. I asked him straight, "Does Alina know?" He paused, looked away, and then said something that stayed with me. "She doesn't need to know. It would only hurt her." That line hit me hard. Not because of what he said, but because of how casually he said it. Like keeping secrets was some kind of protection. Like silence was a favor. I didn't answer him right away. I just sat there, staring at the man I thought I knew, realizing I didn't know him at all. And that's when I understood the truth wasn't the hardest part. It was what came after. What I would choose to do with it. But what I didn't know then was that I wasn't the only one who had seen something that day. And someone else, someone unexpected, was already one step ahead of me. After that conversation with Sam, I couldn't shake the uneasiness. It wasn't just the betrayal anymore. It was the way he spoke, like he'd made peace with the lies. Like he believed hiding the truth was somehow an act of love. I left that meeting more confused than before. I had hoped for remorse, a sign that he was stuck in something he didn't know how to escape. But what I saw was control. Calm. A man with a double life, managing it like it was normal. For a few days, I didn't tell anyone. I kept my head down, trying to focus on work, normal tasks, anything that didn't involve thinking about Sam and Alina. But then something strange happened. I got a call from my cousin who lives on the other side of the city. She asked me if I had seen Alina lately. I said no, just being careful with my words. That's when she told me Alina had been acting different. Distant. Nervous. And then she said the one thing that made my heart stop. She thinks something is going on. That changed everything. Alina wasn't in the dark. She didn't have the full truth, but her instincts were waking up. And I knew that feeling too well, the quiet suspicion, the little signs that don't make sense until they suddenly do. She hadn't said anything out loud, but apparently she had started checking Sam's phone when he left it unattended. Googling signs of cheating. Asking vague questions in conversations, trying to see if people around her knew more than she did. That's when another layer of guilt hit me. She was already hurting in silence, and here I was holding a piece of the puzzle that could either help her or completely destroy her world. and I didn't know which one it would be. At the same time, there was something else I hadn't expected. The woman from the cafe, Sam's friend, started showing up more often. I saw her at a grocery store once, walking past like nothing had happened. Another time, she was at a gym I go to occasionally, laughing with someone at the juice bar. She wasn't hiding. If anything, she looked like someone who believed she had a place in his life. And then came the twist. I overheard a conversation between two parents at a school event, casual chatter, nothing serious, until one of them mentioned how Sam had been spending a lot of time at that design firm on 5th Street. That was the same area the cafe was in. That's when I realized this might be more than just an affair. This woman might be connected to his work. It could be an emotional affair that turned physical, or it could be something deeper, like an ongoing relationship that started long before I ever saw them. The conflict wasn't just about telling Alina anymore. It was about timing, about how much damage the truth could do. And also, what if Alina already knew, but wasn't ready to face it? What if she was waiting for someone else to confirm what she couldn't bring herself to say out loud? I found myself in the middle of something I never asked to be part of. Each choice felt like it would pull a thread that could unravel everything. And the closer I got to the truth, the more tangled it all became. But the most unexpected part of it all? Alina wasn't the only one watching Sam. Someone else was too. And they weren't staying silent. It was a Friday evening when everything started shifting faster than I could keep up. I was heading out to meet a friend when I got a message from an unknown number. No greeting. No name. Just a photo. It was Sam again, sitting across from the same woman, this time at a rooftop bar laughing, leaning in like they were on a date. The message below said, "He's slipping up more than you think. You're not the only one who sees it." I froze. My first thought was, who else knew? And why were they sending this to me? The number didn't respond when I texted back. No clue who it was. But now I knew for sure. I wasn't the only person watching Sam. And whoever this was, they were close. Close enough to be in the same place as him, close enough to take a photo without being noticed. That night, the anxiety was eating me alive. I didn't sleep. I kept checking my phone, hoping for another message, some kind of clue. But nothing came. The next morning, I got a call from Alina. She never called me directly unless it was about something casual. But this time, her voice was different. Calm, but cold. She asked me, very clearly, "Can we meet?" "Just us. I need to ask you something." My heart dropped. I agreed, of course, and we met at a quiet park later that afternoon. She looked tired, like she hadn't been sleeping either. Her eyes didn't have that usual warmth. She didn't waste time. She just asked, "Have you seen Sam with anyone lately?" There it was. The question I had been dreading. The moment I had played over in my head 100 times. I opened my mouth, trying to find the right words, but before I could say anything, she pulled out her phone and showed me the same photo I had been sent the night before. Same angle. Same scene. Same moment. "I didn't take this," she said, her voice shaking just slightly. "Someone left it in my mailbox. No note. Just this." That's when it hit me. Someone was watching both of us. Not just Sam. And this wasn't just about cheating anymore. It felt bigger. More calculated. Alina looked at me, tears starting to build but not falling. "I think there's more to this than I want to believe. And I think you already know something." I couldn't speak. Because the truth was she was right. And what came next would change everything. I stood there, still silent, the weight of everything pressing on my chest. Alina was looking straight at me, waiting, not just for an answer, but for confirmation. She already knew deep down. She wasn't here to be told. She was here to see if I would lie to her face. Before I could respond, her phone buzzed. She glanced at it, and her expression changed instantly, confusion mixed with fear. She handed it to me without a word. Another message from the unknown number. But this one was different. It wasn't a photo this time. It was a video. It started with Sam again, this time inside what looked like a dimly lit office. The same woman was there. But they weren't alone. Another man walked in. Then something changed. Voices were raised. Sam stood up, clearly angry. The video cut off before we could see more. Just 30 seconds of tension, but it said enough. This wasn't just an affair anymore. Alina's voice broke the silence. Who's that other guy? I didn't know. But something about his body language felt off. Not just confrontation, more like a threat. It raised so many questions. Was Sam being blackmailed? Was this woman more involved than we thought? And who was filming all of this? Alina looked terrified now. Not heartbroken, scared. I think someone's watching us, she whispered. All of us. That's when I realized this wasn't just about infidelity. This was a game someone else was playing. Someone with a motive we didn't understand yet. Someone who didn't just want the truth to come out, but wanted to control how and when it did. The stakes were no longer just about a marriage falling apart. They were about who was pulling the strings behind it all. And whoever it was, they weren't finished yet. Alina and I decided we couldn't sit on this anymore. With the video, the photos, and the growing fear that someone was watching us, we agreed to confront Sam directly, but this time, together. We met him at home, unannounced. He opened the door, clearly caught off guard. When Alina showed him the video, his face went pale. He didn't even deny it. He just sat down, as if the weight of everything finally landed. He confessed. To the affair. To the woman, who was someone from his office he had been involved with for months. But then he said something that made Alina and I both freeze. I tried to end it. But she didn't want to let go. That's when the twist came. The other man in the video? He was the woman's ex. A tech guy, apparently, who had been tracking her and Sam through hidden cameras and GPS for weeks. He had hacked into their devices and even planted something in Sam's office. He wasn't just watching out of jealousy, he wanted to ruin Sam. And he had been feeding both Alina and me just enough proof to tear everything apart from the inside. It worked. But here's the part that still gives me chills. When we tried to trace the number, nothing. No ID, no trail. It just disappeared. Like whoever it was had planned the whole thing and vanished the second it reached its goal. Sam moved out a week later. Alina, heartbroken but stronger than ever, started putting the pieces of her life back together. And me? I was left with a story I never thought I'd be part of. Because sometimes, the truth doesn't just come out. Sometimes, it's delivered by a stranger you'll never see coming. In the weeks that followed, everything slowly began to settle, though nothing truly went back to how it was. Alina filed for separation, not out of anger, but out of clarity. She said something I'll never forget. Sometimes loving yourself means walking away before someone else decides for you. She focused on her kids, her work, and started therapy, which she later said helped her more than anything else. Sam tried reaching out, apologizing again, hoping to fix things, but the damage was too deep. The trust was gone, not just between him and Alina, but between him and everyone who once saw him as the perfect family man. His actions had consequences, professionally and personally. The woman from the affair? She left the company soon after, and no one heard from her again. As for the mystery man, the ex who had been pulling the strings, he was never officially identified. No charges were filed. It was as if he'd planned it all, waited for the perfect time, and then disappeared once the truth had been exposed. We never got full closure on who he was or why he chose that exact moment to act. But in a strange way, his interference forced the truth out into the open. This wasn't just a story about infidelity. It was about choices, silence, truth, and how sometimes the people you least expect to act do. I didn't think I'd be the one to get involved, but I'm glad I did. Because sometimes, helping doesn't mean fixing. Sometimes, it just means being there when the truth finally breaks through. E3